The royal court gathered that morning expecting blood. They came wrapped in winter velvet and silver-trimmed cloaks, filling the high galleries of the Moon Hall until every balcony was crowded. Beneath the glass dome, pale daylight fell across the black marble floor, cold and unforgiving. At the center of the hall, a young servant knelt beside an iron cage. Her name was Mira. A golden oathmark circled her throat like a delicate collar. Silver chains bound one wrist to the floor and the other to the cage beside her. She wore the plain gray dress of the lowest palace servants, and a dark bruise marked her cheek where a guard had struck her during questioning. Inside the cage lay a dying black wolf. The animal was larger than any common forest wolf. Its fur was tangled with blood, and broken spearheads remained buried in its shoulder and flank. Each breath came slowly, painfully, as though the creature had to choose whether living was still worth the effort. The court had been told the wolf had killed 6 royal hunters. They had also been told that Mira had stolen medicine from the palace infirmary to save it. For that crime, she had been condemned to die beside the beast. Royal healer Maelor Voss stood before the court holding an empty glass vial between 2 fingers. His robes were white, his voice calm, and his face carried the patient sorrow of a man forced to deliver unpleasant truth. This vial once contained enough silver root to treat 20 wounded soldiers, he said. It was found hidden beneath the servants' bedding. Murmurs spread through the hall. Mira kept her eyes lowered, not because she was guilty, because the moment she attempted to speak against someone of royal rank, the golden mark around her throat tightened until she could no longer breathe. The oath had been placed upon her when she was a child. Obey the royal household. Protect its secrets. Never accuse those above your station. For 17 years, those words had lived beneath her skin. They had trained her to swallow pain without protest, to lower her gaze when falsely blamed, and to endure punishment without defending herself. Now the oath prevented her from telling the court that the medicine had already been poisoned when she found it. It prevented her from saying that she had not gone searching for the wolf. The wolf had come to her. 3 nights earlier, during a snowstorm, Mira had heard something scratching against the servants' chapel door. She had opened it expecting to find a wounded hound. Instead, the enormous black wolf had collapsed at her feet. A broken royal chain had been wrapped around one of its legs. Mira had recognized that chain. It had belonged to Prince Caelan, heir to the throne of Ashen Crown. The prince had disappeared 9 years earlier. No body had ever been recovered. No message had ever been sent. The kingdom had searched every northern pass and every outlawed packland, but eventually the search ended, and the prince became another name spoken softly in old corridors. Mira had tried to tell the guards about the chain. The oath had nearly strangled her. Now Maelor approached her slowly. "You were given shelter beneath this roof," he said. "You were fed and protected. Why would you steal from the crown for a creature that murdered royal men?" Mira lifted her eyes. The golden mark tightened. Pain burned down her throat. "I heard him crying," she managed. A ripple of laughter passed through the nobles. One woman near the throne smiled behind a jeweled hand. The servant stole royal medicine because a wolf cried. Mira did not answer. She looked toward the cage. The black wolf opened its eyes. They were silver, not the soft silver of moonlight, but the sharp silver blue painted in every portrait of the missing prince. The animal stared at her. The sound of the court disappeared. For one suspended moment, Mira felt as though she had stood in that gaze before, somewhere colder, somewhere filled with snow, blood, and the sound of a young man telling her to run. A memory brushed against her mind. A boy kneeling in the forest, a scar crossing the corner of his mouth, his hand closing around hers. "Run, little star." The vision vanished before she could hold it. The wolf began to move. Its claws scraped against the floor of the cage. Blood followed beneath its body as it dragged itself toward the open door. Several guards drew their sword. Maelor raised one hand, stopping them. He wanted the court to watch. He wanted them to see the animal tear Mira apart. The wolf crawled from the cage. Mira could hear its broken breathing. She could smell blood, snow, and something bitter beneath its fur, the sharp scent of wolfsbane. The beast reached her chain. Instead of attacking, it lowered its head into her lap. The entire hall went silent. Mira's bound hands trembled above the wolf's face. She knew touching it might give the court another reason to condemn her, but compassion was the only part of herself the oath had never managed to destroy. She placed her palm against the wolf's bloodied fur. Golden light appeared beneath her fingers. At first, it was no more than a faint glow. Then it spread through the animal's body like sunlight moving beneath dark water. Ancient symbols awakened along its ribs. The chains around Mira's wrists grew hot. Every royal wolf standing beside its master whimpered and lowered its head. The black wolf looked up at her. Its mouth opened. The voice that emerged was not an animal's growl. It was the broken whisper of a man waking from a long nightmare. "Mother?" Mira stopped breathing. Golden light burst across the hall. The candles went dark. The glass dome overhead filled with the image of a vast moon, though daylight still covered the kingdom outside. The wolf convulsed beneath her hand. Bones shifted. Claws became fingers. Black fur receded into scarred skin. The enormous animal changed within the circle of her chains until a man lay with his head in her lap. Long black hair covered part of his face. His body was thin from hunger and marked by wounds old and new. Around one ankle hung the broken royal chain Mira had recognized. Upon his chest glowed the crowned wolf crest of House Raverin. Someone in the gallery screamed. Prince Caelan had returned. For a heartbeat, the kingdom forgot how to breathe. Then Maelor Voss whispered, "Kill the servant." 3 guards moved at once. Mira saw the first silver blade rise above her. She bent over the unconscious prince without thinking. The sword descended. A hand caught it. Caelan's fingers closed around the blade inches above Mira's neck. Blood ran between his knuckles, but his grip did not weaken. His eyes opened. They were no longer the eyes of a dying animal. They were the eyes of something that had survived too much to fear death. "Touch her," he said, his voice raw, "and I will tear this palace apart." The guard released the weapon. Caelan threw it across the hall. It struck a stone pillar hard enough to crack the marble. He tried to stand, but his strength failed him. Mira caught him as he fell. The entire court watched the missing wolf prince lean against the servant they had brought there to execute. Royal healer Maelor stepped forward. "Your Highness, you have been poisoned. You cannot know what this woman has done." Caelan looked at him. Something dark moved behind his expression. "I know your scent." Maelor remained perfectly still. "White rooms," Caelan whispered. "Silver needles. Your voice when the lamps went out." The prince is confused. "I remember you cutting something out of me." Murmurs spread through the hall. Regent Othric Raverin rose from the black throne. He was Caelan's uncle, the man who had ruled Ashen Crown during the prince's absence. Grief and disbelief warred across his face as he descended the steps. "Caelan." The prince turned toward him. There was no recognition in his eyes. That absence wounded the regent more deeply than any accusation could have. "You are safe now," Othric said. Caelan looked at the throne behind him. "Am I?" His body suddenly arched. Black veins spread beneath the skin of his chest. The wolf inside him slammed against his bones, trying to force its way free. Maelor reached for a vial. "He must be restrained." "No," Mira said. The single word echoed through the hall. The golden oath tightened instantly. Pain crushed her throat. Mira dropped to one knee, gasping. Caelan saw the mark. "What is that?" No one answered. He lifted one trembling hand and touched the golden ring around her neck. Maelor's composure broke. "Do not touch it." Caelan's fingers closed over the mark. The oath shattered. Golden fire circled Mira's throat and burst outward. She drew in a desperate breath as the invisible chain that had controlled her since childhood vanished. The fragments of magic wrapped around Caelan's wrist before sinking beneath his skin. He stared at his hand. Mira stared at Maelor. For the first time in 17 years, she could accuse him. Yet when the words finally became possible, silence remained. She had lived so long without a voice that freedom itself frightened her. Caelan collapsed before she could speak. The regent ordered the hall cleared and the palace gates sealed. The prince was carried to the western tower, though 4 guards struggled whenever his wolf sensed their hands upon him. Mira was taken with him because each time she moved too far away, Caelan began to growl even while unconscious. As they passed beneath the ancient banners of House Raverin, Mira noticed something impossible. The embroidered wolves turned their heads to follow her. The western tower had once belonged to the queens of Ashen Crown. Its highest chamber overlooked the winter forest and the frozen river beyond the walls. Caelan was placed upon a black oak bed. Silver restraints were fastened around his wrists. Maelor prepared a dark liquid beside the fire. Mira smelled it immediately. Wolfsbane. The healer did not look at her. A sedative. His breathing is already failing. His beast must be weakened. Mira stepped between him and the bed. The guards reached for their sword. Maelor gave her a cold smile. Your oath may be broken, but your position has not changed. Caelan opened his eye. Give me the cup. Maelor offered it. Caelan smelled the liquid and threw it into the flame. Green fire rose up the chimney. You used that on me before, he said. I treated you after violent transformations. No. Caelan pressed one hand to his temple. Somewhere underground, a flash of fear passed across Maelor's face. It vanished quickly, but Mira saw it. Caelan looked at her. Suspicion replaced recognition. Who are you? The question should not have hurt, yet it did. Miravale. Why did my wolf call you by my mother's name? I do not know. You awakened something inside me. I was trying to keep you alive. Why? Mira glanced toward the broken chain resting beside the bed. Because I recognized that. She told him about the dream she had carried since childhood. The snow, the wounded boy, and the voice saying, "Run, little star." Caelan became very still. My mother used those words. Mira's skin turned cold. She said them the night the Eastern Palace burned. I heard them from the other side of the memory. Caelan studied her face as though trying to find someone else hidden beneath it. The chamber door opened. Regent Othric entered with several council members. Questions followed. Where had Caelan been? Who had held him? Why did the servant possess forbidden magic? Maelor answered before either Mira or Caelan could. The prince is suffering from corrupted memory. This girl carries a dangerous spirit. Her touch may be altering his mind. Mira looked at him. The old oath no longer tightened. You placed the mark on me. The room fell silent. Maelor turned slowly. You burned it into my throat when I was 6, Mira continued. You renewed it every winter. You made certain I could never accuse you. You were a violent child. I was terrified. You bit 2 guards. They were holding me down. Caelan's restraint snapped. The broken silver link struck the wall. He crossed the chamber and seized Maelor by the throat. Speak to her with contempt again, he said softly, and I will forget how much this kingdom needs a healer. Maelor did not struggle. Every act of violence strengthens your curse. Caelan's hand tightened. Mira touched his wrist. A pulse of golden light moved between them. The tower disappeared. She stood in a snow-covered forest. She was 12 years old, barefoot and dressed in torn white cloth. A wounded young man pulled her toward a hidden stone arch. Caelan. He was 17. Blood covered one side of his face. A silver chain was wrapped around his fist. Do not let them hear you, he whispered. Wolves howled behind them, not wild wolves, men screaming beneath forced transformation. Caelan pushed Mira toward the arch. Run, little star. She clung to him. Come with me. I will find you. You promised before. I promise again. A white-robed figure appeared behind him. Maelor drove a silver needle into Caelan's neck. Mira screamed. The vision shattered. She returned to the tower in Caelan's arm. He had seen it too. His face held the same horror that filled her chest. Maelor moved toward the door. Caelan threw a broken chain around his ankles and dragged him to the floor. Guards rushed inside. As they pulled the healer away, Maelor looked at Mira with something almost like pity. You have no idea what lived inside that temple, he said, or why the queen herself ordered your memory erased. That night, the palace did not sleep. News of Caelan's return spread beyond the walls. Bells rang from nearby villages. Wolves howled across the valley. Pack leaders began riding toward Ashen Crown, each one hungry for answers. Mira remained in the western tower. Caelan refused treatment from anyone else. She removed broken spearheads from his shoulder and side while he sat beside the fire, bare to the waist. His body carried the history his mind could not yet remember. Thin scars from silver instruments, deep marks from restraints, and wounds caused by years of violent shifting. You remember more than you admit, Mira said. So do you. That is not an answer. Caelan watched her hands as she cleaned the blood from his skin. I found you beneath an abandoned moon temple, he said. You were chained to an altar. Mira paused. What had they done to me? I do not know all of it, but you know enough to be afraid. His jaw tightened. She set the cloth aside. I spent most of my life unable to ask why I was punished. I will not allow you to decide which truths I am strong enough to hear. His eyes lifted to hers. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Caelan turned his wrist upward. A black mark shaped like a wolf's jaw circled his skin. This appeared the night I touched you. Mira placed her fingers near it. Golden light stirred. A woman's voice whispered through both their minds. My son, Caelan recoiled. Do not do that again. I did not mean to. My wolf thinks you are her. Your mother? No. He looked toward the window. Something older. The answer came the following morning. 3 wild wolves were lying outside Mira's chamber. One was old and nearly blind. One had a torn ear. The smallest had only 3 legs. They had crossed the palace walls without attacking anyone. They had come only to sit near her door. When Mira touched the smallest wolf, golden light moved through its body. The missing leg did not return, but the animal's pain vanished. It pressed its face into her palm. Beyond the windows, dozens of wolves emerged from the forest. Every one of them turned toward Mira. Ancient symbols began awakening throughout the palace. A cracked statue opened its eyes when she passed. Dead moonflowers bloomed beneath her steps. An old bell sealed since the founding of the kingdom rang at midnight without anyone touching its rope. Caelan noticed every sign. The more the magic awakened, the more distant he became. He questioned her for hours, tested her memories, and watched her as if she were both the answer to his suffering and the beginning of something far more dangerous. Yet his wolf reacted whenever another man moved close to her. When Captain Soren placed a cloak around Mira's shoulders during a cold council meeting, Caelan broke the carved arm of his chair. Later that evening, Mira confronted him. You sent Captain Soren to the northern wall. He was neglecting his duties. He gave me a cloak. He was standing too close. You were watching from across the room. I have excellent sight. For a moment, Mira almost smiled. Caelan saw it. The severity in his face softened, and she glimpsed the boy from the forest beneath the guarded prince. Then a messenger arrived. Maelor had requested a public trial. He claimed Mira was not the vessel of an ancient guardian spirit, but a devourer of wolves, a forbidden creature capable of controlling royal blood. The council demanded she submit to the judgment of Fang. If she refused, they would declare Caelan enthralled and remove his right to the throne. They are not judging me, Mira said. They are testing whether you will sacrifice me to protect your crown. Caelan stood beside the window, his hands braced against the stone. I can dissolve the council and begin a war. I can take you north and prove their accusation. I will not deliver you to them. You do not need to. Mira lifted the decree. I will accept the judgment. Caelan turned. No. His alpha command filled the room. The fire went out. The windows trembled. Mira felt the force of it descend upon her. Her knees did not bend. Golden symbols appeared around the place where her oath had once been. Caelan stared. Mira walked toward him. You freed me from one command, she said quietly. Do not replace it with your own. Shame crossed his face. I am trying to protect you. I know. Then why do you resist me? Because protection without respect is still a cage. The words remained between them. Caelan lowered his eyes. Mira softened, but she did not take them back. If I hide, Maelor controls the truth. If I run, the court will fear me forever. I have lived beneath their silence long enough. Caelan looked at her as though something inside him was breaking. When the relic touches you, it may awaken everything. Then I will finally know what I am. I already know what you are. She waited. He lifted one hand toward her face but stopped before making contact. You are the woman who touched a dying beast when everyone else waited for it to kill you. His voice deepened. You are the only person in this palace who looks at me and sees neither a crown nor a monster. Mira's breath grew unsteady. The distance between them narrowed. Caelan's gaze fell to her mouth. Before he could kiss her, pain twisted through his body. The black curse raced from his wrist toward his throat. He staggered back. His wolf tore through him. Bones cracked. Black fur covered his skin. The enormous beast struck the stone wall, wild with terror. Guards rushed into the room, but Mira ordered them away. She approached slowly. The wolf bared its fang. Mira placed both hands against its face. Golden light collided with black smoke. Images flooded her mind. Caelan in a dark cell. Maelor pouring wolfsbane into open wounds, silver mirrors showing the prince false memories of Mira standing over the bodies of murdered children. Maelor had trained the wolf to fear her. Mira held on. "You remember me," she whispered. Not his lie. Me. The animal's jaws opened near her throat. She did not move. "Run, little star." The wolf froze. Its body collapsed against her. Caelan returned to human form in her arm. For the first time, the feared wolf prince did not hide his weakness. He buried his face against her shoulder. "I have been running from you for 9 years," he whispered. Mira closed her arms around him. "Before we continue, tell me in the comments, if you were Mira, would you still trust Prince Caelan after learning that his wolf had been trained to fear you, or would you walk away before the court could hurt you again?" Outside the tower, the ancient bell began to ring, not once, 13 times. The judgment of fangs had begun. Bah. Deux. The moon hall was already full when Mira entered beside Prince Caelan. Every major alpha in Ashen Crown had come to witness the trial. Silver banners hung from the galleries. Guards lined the black marble floor. Nobles whispered behind, raised hands as Mira crossed the hall without chains for the first time in her life. At the center stood the moon relic. It was a pale stone carved in the shape of an open wolf's jaw. Golden chains hung from its fangs, glowing with the same magic that had once circled Mira's throat. Royal healer Maelor Voss waited beside it. He wore no shackles. The council had granted him the protection of temple law while he served as the accuser. Caelan's anger entered the room before his voice did. "Why is he unbound?" Counselor Ysara rose from her seat. "Until the judgment is complete, the accuser may not be restrained. He imprisoned your prince. He denies it. I remember it. Your memories were awakened through the touch of the accused." The words were careful. That was what made them dangerous. Maelor did not need the court to believe Mira was evil. He only needed them to doubt her enough to fear her. He stepped forward. "This woman carries an ancient soul mark. Since her arrival beside the prince, wolves have abandoned their masters. Royal relics have awakened. Old magic has spread through the palace. Old magic you tried to bury," Mira said. Maelor looked at her. "You see how easily she challenges the crown now. I challenge you. Can the prince still tell the difference?" Caelan's hand moved toward his sword. Mira touched his fingers. The gesture was small, but the court noticed. Maelor's mouth curved slightly. "The prince cannot tolerate a single accusation against her." Caelan removed the royal clasp from his shoulder. He dropped it onto the marble. The sound echoed through the hall. "I did not survive 9 years in chains to return and watch another innocent person placed in them," he said. "If my throne requires her death, I do not want it." Silence followed. Even the rival alphas stopped whispering. Mira looked at him. Caelan did not look away. He had chosen her before he knew whether the choice would leave him kingless. The golden chains upon the relic began to glow. Counselor Ysara pointed toward them. "Place your arms between the stone jaws. If the spirit inside you entered lawfully, it will reveal itself. If you stole it, the relic will consume the bond." "And me?" Mira asked. No one answered. "My lord did. You will die." Caelan drew his sword. Mira stepped between him and the relic. "This is what he wants. He wants you dead. He wants you to refuse before every alpha in the kingdom. I will refuse before every god beneath the moon." Mira touched his chest. "Then the court will say I control you. Let them. They will divide the kingdom. I will not trade you for peace." Mira felt the truth of it, yet she also knew that if she turned away now, the fear surrounding her would never end. Every wolf that approached her would be seen as evidence of corruption. Every act of magic would become another accusation. She needed the truth as much as the kingdom did. "You broke my oath," she told him. "Now trust me to choose what comes after it." Caelan's eyes closed briefly. When he opened them, the fear was still there, but so was respect. He released her hand. Mira walked to the relic. The stone jaws opened wider. She placed her arms inside. The golden chain snapped around her wrists. Pain entered her like a blade. The moon hall vanished. She saw a ruined keep beyond the eastern mountain. A woman carried her through smoke while wolves fought soldiers in the snow. The woman had Mira's eyes and the same quiet strength in her face. Her mother, House Vale, had not been a royal family. It had been a guardian bloodline. For centuries, its daughters had protected the sleeping soul of the first Luna, the ancient spirit from whom every royal wolf descended. When soldiers attacked the keep, Mira's mother placed that spirit inside her child to prevent it from being captured. She kissed Mira's forehead before dying. Do not let them turn love into obedience. The vision changed. Mira saw herself at 12 beneath the ruined moon temple. Maelor stood over the altar. Beside him was his younger brother, Lord Sarek Voss, commander of the royal guard. Sarek had led the attack upon House Vale. The brothers intended to place the first Luna's soul inside a controlled vessel. With it, they believed they could command every alpha wolf in the kingdom and end the wars tearing the packs apart. The ritual failed. The spirit did not obey them. It chose Mira. Then Caelan came. At 17, the prince had been sent to investigate missing children. He found wolfless servants, abandoned heirs, and young Omegas imprisoned beneath the temple. The Voss brothers were trying to place royal wolf spirits inside bodies trained to obey. Caelan fought through their guard. He found Mira chained beneath the altar. The moment he touched her, the spirit awakened. It recognized his wolf as a descendant of its first son, yet it did not command him. It offered him a choice. Take the spirit and become an immortal beast, or protect the girl and allow the old royal order to change. Caelan chose Mira. Lord Sarek attacked. The prince killed him while defending the children. Maelor arrived to find his brother dead. Grief became hatred. He captured Caelan, erased Mira's memories, and placed an oath upon her so she could never reveal what had happened. Then he carried her into the palace and disguised her as a servant. He imprisoned Caelan beneath the temple and spent 9 years poisoning his wolf with false memories. The last vision hurt more than the rest. Regent Othric had known Maelor, found Mira after the temple fell. He did not know about the imprisoned children. He did not know Caelan remained alive. But Maelor had warned him that Mira carried magic capable of destroying the royal line. Othric had approved the oath. He chose the safety of his crown over the freedom of an unknown child. Mira returned to the moon hall with tears on her face. Golden fire covered her arms. The chains did not consume her. They melted. The stone jaws cracked open. A vast spirit rose from the relic. It was shaped like a wolf, yet within its body moved the face of a woman crowned by moonlight. Stars burned beneath its translucent fur. Every wolf in the hall fell to the floor. Caelan remained standing. The first Luna lowered her head before him. Then she turned toward Mira. Her voice entered every corner of the hall. My daughter through blood. My vessel through sacrifice. My heir through choice. Golden markings spread across Mira's shoulders. The last remains of her oath disappeared. Maelor stepped backward. No, he whispered. The relic was supposed to destroy her. The first Luna looked at him. You mistook guardianship for possession. Something broke inside Maelor's face. He reached into his robes and pulled out a silver needle filled with black liquid. Before anyone could stop him, he drove it into his own chest. Caelan moved toward Mira. Black smoke exploded from Maelor's body. It spread through the moon hall, entering every wolf and alpha touched by his years of royal medicine. The animals screamed. Men fell to their knees, clutching their heart. Some began shifting without control. The poison Maelor had placed inside the kingdom had awakened. If he could not control the first Luna, he intended to destroy every bloodline connected to her. Chaos swept through the court. Guards transformed and attacked their own commanders. Wolves tore at the collars around their necks. The glass dome darkened as hundreds of animals beyond the palace answered the pain. Maelor rose again. His eyes had become black. The poison inside him kept his body alive. You speak of freedom, he said, his voice trembling with grief. My brother believed one united wolf mind could end centuries of war. Your brother imprisoned children, Caelan said. He believed the kingdom was dying. He wanted control. He wanted peace. Mira looked at the wolves suffering around them. Peace without choice is only silence forced upon the wounded. Maelor turned toward her. You know nothing of ruling divided packs. I know what it means to live without a voice. The first Luna flickered above them. The poison was spreading too quickly. Mira could feel every wolf connected to the spirit. Their pain passed through her bone. She sensed old animals dying in distant forests, young warriors collapsing at the gates, and mothers shielding their cubs while their bodies betrayed them. She could heal them, but only by opening herself completely to the spirit. She might lose every part of herself that was only Mira. Caelan understood before she spoke. No, I can reach them. You may never come back. They are dying. Then use my wolf. Mira turned toward him. "The royal blood carries the curse most strongly," he said. "Draw the poison into me first. Use my beast to hold it while you heal the others. It will kill you, not immediately. You fought 9 years to survive. I survived because something inside me remembered you." The confession settled into her heart. Caelan came closer. He lifted one hand to her face. This time, he did not stop himself. "I do not know whether what connects us was written by an ancient spirit or born in a forest when a frightened girl trusted me to return for her." His thumb brushed the tears from her cheek. "I know that I choose you now, not because my wolf bows to what you carry, not because the court fears your power. I choose the woman who refused to let pain make her cruel." Mira's voice broke. "I will not sacrifice you. Then bring me back." He rested his forehead against hers. "Do not let me become the beast Maelor wanted." Their kiss began softly. It carried no triumph, only fear, longing, and the tenderness of two people trying to reclaim years stolen from them. Then the mate bond awakened. It did not form as a chain. 2 golden threads appeared between their hearts, moving freely beside one another, connected, never restrained. The first Luna howled. Mira opened herself to the kingdom. Pain rushed into her. The poison of thousands of wolves entered the soul mark. She felt every wound, every fear, every memory twisted by forced obedience. Caelan took the first wave. Black veins spread across his skin. He fell to one knee but held her hand. Mira drew the curse through him and passed it into the first Luna's light. Darkness became gold. Fear became memory. Compulsion became choice. One by one, the wolves regained control. Maelor screamed. He rushed toward Mira with a second needle. Regent Othric stepped between them. The silver point entered his chest. Caelan caught his uncle as he fell. The black poison spread beneath Othric's skin. His breathing weakened. "I knew about the oath," he confessed. Mira knelt beside him. "Why?" "Maelor told me your magic would destroy Caelan if the prince ever returned. And you believed him. I believed my fear." His eyes filled with regret. "I allowed an innocent child to be bound because I thought a kingdom mattered more than one life." Maelor tried to escape. The wolves blocked every door. Mira rose. Power filled her body. She could have destroyed him. The first Luna waited. So did the court. Yet Mira remembered her mother's final word. "Do not let them turn love into obedience." She looked at Maelor. "Tell them everything." He laughed bitterly. "You would place me in chains and call yourself merciful? I will not call myself merciful." "What then?" "Different." Maelor's expression twisted. "My brother believed he could save this kingdom. Your brother chose cruelty. He was afraid. So were you." Tears filled Maelor's darkened eyes. "I only wanted his death to mean something." Caelan stood beside Mira. "It means you should have chosen differently." Maelor lowered the needle. The wolves closed around him. He did not resist when the guards bound his hand. Under a truth oath, he confessed before the court. He admitted the attack upon House Vale. He admitted the experiments beneath the Moon Temple. He admitted poisoning Caelan and changing his memories. He also named the council members and pack leaders who had supplied unwanted children to his ritual. The kingdom's corruption had never belonged to one healer. Maelor had merely learned how to use what powerful men already allowed. Before the confessions were complete, horns sounded beyond the eastern walls. Lord Saric's surviving commanders had opened the palace gates. A rival Alpha army entered beneath false royal banners, hoping to seize Ashen Crown while Caelan remained weak. The prince could barely stand. Still, he reached for his sword. Mira stopped him. "You told me to bring you back. I am back. Your wolf is dying. My kingdom is under attack." Mira looked toward the balcony overlooking the courtyard. "Then let the kingdom see what it means to stand together." She walked outside. Snow fell through the dark morning. Below, royal guards fought invading soldiers among broken carts and fallen banners. Beyond the walls, thousands of wild wolves waited beneath the trees. Mira raised one hand. She did not command them. She opened the bond and offered them the truth. Images passed through every wolf mind. The imprisoned children, the poison, Caelan dropping his royal clasp before the court, Othric taking the needle meant for Mira, and servants carrying wounded warriors from both armies. The wild wolves entered the courtyard. They did not attack. They placed themselves between the two armies. At their front stood the three-legged wolf that had once guarded Mira's chamber. The rival, Alpha, shouted a command. His wolves did not obey. Caelan stepped onto the balcony beside Mira. He was pale and wounded, but his voice carried through the snow. No Alpha will rule a wolf through poison, pain, or stolen bonds. Lay down your weapons and answer before a free council, or stand alone. The rival commander looked behind him. His soldiers began dropping their sword. Without fear to bind them, the invasion collapsed. By sunrise, Ashen Crown belonged to no conqueror. It belonged to those who had chosen not to destroy one another. Othric survived, though the poison weakened his heart permanently. He surrendered the regency and submitted himself to judgment. Some demanded his execution. Mira opposed it. Death would end his responsibility, she said. Let him live long enough to repair what fear allowed him to break. Othric spent the following years returning stolen lands, dismantling the temple network, and building sanctuaries for wolfless children. Maelor was not hidden inside a dark prison. Mira refused to repeat what he had done to Caelan. He was placed under permanent guard in the public infirmary. The truth oath compelled him to answer every question honestly. He spent his remaining years healing those harmed by his poison. Mira never forgave him. She simply refused to become him. Caelan's wolf took weeks to recover. During that time, Mira stayed in the adjoining chamber of the Western Tower. He did not order her to remain. He asked. The difference mattered. Their memories returned slowly. Caelan remembered teaching her ancient runes beneath the temple while they waited for nightfall. Mira remembered stealing half his bread because he pretended he was not hungry. He remembered promising to return for her. She remembered believing him. Some memories never return. They stopped treating the empty spaces as wounds that needed to be forced open. One winter evening, Mira stood beneath the restored statue of the first Luna. The original sculpture had shown a crowned woman with wolves kneeling at her feet. Mira ordered the stone recarved. Now the wolves stood beside her. Caelan entered the chapel without armor. He held the broken silver chain Mira had recognized on the day of his return. The links had been remade into two simple bracelets. No collar, he said, no oath, no bond that cannot be refused. He fastened one around his wrist. Mira held the other. What are you asking? To stand beside me when the council names its first freely chosen king. As your healer? When I deserve it. As your Luna? Only if that is the name you choose. He moved closer. As my mate if the choice remains yours. Mira looked at the man who had once saved her in a forest, the wolf she had saved inside a cage, and the prince who had surrendered his crown before sacrificing her freedom. I will never belong to your throne. Caelan lowered himself to one knee. Then let the throne belong to what we build together. Wolves entered the chapel. Royal wolves, wild wolves, old animals once abandoned by their pack. None of them lowered their heads. They had not come to submit. They had come to witness. Mira placed the bracelet around her wrist. Yes. Caelan rose and kissed her beneath the moonlit statue. No prophecy spoke. No ancient spirit appeared. They no longer needed destiny to explain what they had chosen. Months later, the kingdom gathered again inside the moon hall. The iron cage was gone. The ring that had once held Mira's chain had been removed from the floor and placed beneath glass as a warning against the laws that had permitted it. Caelan was crowned King of Ashen Crown by representatives from every pack, including servants, healers, wolfless citizens, and northern clans once forbidden from entering the palace. When the council offered Mira the traditional Luna crown, she did not accept it immediately. She turned toward the kingdom. I was brought into this hall as a servant accused of stealing medicine. I was chained beside a dying wolf because those in power believed compassion was a crime when offered without permission. Her voice remained gentle. It no longer needed to be loud. No child will ever again be bound by an obedience oath. No wolf will be poisoned into submission. No servant will be forbidden from accusing a noble. No mate bond will be recognized unless both souls choose it freely. The wolves howled. The sound shook the glass dome. Only then did Mira accept the crown. It was not the heavy jeweled crown worn by the Lunas before her. She had melted the old gold and reshaped it into a slender circlet marked by two wolves walking side by side. Caelan stood before her. He did not place it upon her head until she nodded. When the ceremony ended, he leaned close. My wolf still remembers calling you mother. Mira looked at him. Should I be worried? Very. A smile touched the scar beside his mouth. It now believes you are much more frightening. And what do you believe? Caelan took her hand before the entire kingdom. That I spent 9 years trapped inside a monster only to discover the woman who freed me had been living inside chains of her own. His eyes softened. And that loving you means never asking you to wear them again. Outside the palace, moonflowers opened beneath the falling snow. Wild wolves howled from the forest. This time, the sound carried no command, no warning, no prophecy. It was simply the kingdom answering its queen.